Ukraine. It's just like things got liquidated. Hardest part is how we actually got. Oh my! Get yourself! No, you take that fucking thing. You should have that off to the camera. We said white boys. We said white would fucking work.
Oh, boys and girls.
I am so right now. Oh my god. Yes! We got two.
Yeah. I mean, they need to get a little bit bigger, but that one is a dang good start. Woo. When it's prom night, I like to, oh gosh. When it's prom night, I like to take fat girls to the dance.
And I promise, guys, I'm shaking because I'm excited, not because I'm relapsing. Let's go.
Another one. Another one.
Ah.
It's prom night, and we're taking all the big girls dancing.
Yeah, boy.
Do you fish? No. You know, people who don't fish think that fishing is lazy or boring, but it is the complete opposite. There are 100 little decisions to be made, variables to be considered, and you're never quite sure what made the difference. Did I cast too high, too far to the left? Did I reel it in too slow or too fast? Is the lure too shiny or too dull? Do I stay here or should I go over there? And you know it's not luck, but you do not know by how much. Because I am never disappointed out here. Because I don't expect anything. Because anything is possible. I can be hopeful out here, even in failure. Because I know if I just go out there around that tree, it might be different. Something might be different. Something I do might make a difference.
Hell yeah! Angler's choice, baby! Johnny Moore's, White River, Ranger, Triton, Nitro! Let's go, baby! Woo!
What the hell is even that? You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait. Sorry about that, guys. I just hit that button again with my elbow. How is everyone doing tonight on this last minute live edition of Fishing the DMV? We have a special show for you today. We're going to be going over the Mid-Atlantic Kayak Association. We have a bunch of great speakers. They're going to be going over some rules, some regulations, fielding all of your questions, and I'm probably going to have one or two. And we're also going to talk about the season and just kind of how they chose their events. So first and foremost, the first one we're going to bring up, you know him probably from his OnlyFans. He makes all of his money selling his feet pics, the one and only Jake Harshman. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Oh, what? Well, that's an introduction. This one's supposed to be professional. I can't be my normal self during this one. I don't think. I'm not sure. I appreciate you getting us on here last minute. I know that the membership with the MAKBF, they are chomping at the bit. We got our first event coming up here we're inside of 2 weeks for it on the Juniata River, and that place is, I've said it many a times before, it's Jurassic Park in the springtime for smallmouth bass. It's just like true dinosaurs are go up that river and spawn. So I know people are excited about that. I know that, we have some announcements and stuff to make tonight. And my goal, my job tonight is basically to go over some of the sponsorship stuff that's new and some of the stuff that's continuing on from years past. So that's one of the things that I worked heavily on this year as part of the leadership group. Myself and Josh Evans and Trey Leach really kind of spearheaded that fight for sponsorship. And as you know, Thomas, you know how hard it is to get people to give you money and give you product. It's not easy. You know what I mean? So we feel like we did right by the membership this year, and we're hoping the membership agrees.
Well, I think you guys have done an amazing job. And then why don't we bring in our next one? Next up is Aaron Fetterman. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
El Presidente! Sorry, he's the president.
Aaron, let me make sure. Oh, no, you muted your own mic. So while you figure out your own mic issues, unless you're going to be doing sign language all evening, let's go with Matt. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, Thomas?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for coming on today. So what is your role in this whole crazy organization?
Keeping the peace. No.
Yes.
Trying to keep, I do a lot of the background stuff, updating some of the little website spreadsheets, looking at numbers, helping Aaron out, and trying to keep tabs on all the great work that Jake and Trey and Josh have been doing these last few months.
Can I let me just interrupt Matt, because he's not giving you a full spectrum. So Aaron's the president right now, right? And Matt had been the president in previous years for a number of years. And these guys previous to us having a leadership group, basically did this on their own.
Wow.
For the most part. So don't let him downplay what he does. Neither one of these two. Without these two gentlemen down here, at least they're below me on my screen. Without these two gentlemen, MAKBF doesn't have the long-standing history that we have, and that we don't exist. So don't let them downplay their roles.
And then, Aaron, I know you were a little muted there at the beginning. If you want to reiterate, like, why did you want to become president? Why did you want that kind of stress?
Oh, I thrive off stress. This I am the I don't have a good answer for that. I always take a job that's a thankless job. I was the local chairman in the union. I'm the president of the TD. Those guys, they make it all happen behind the scenes, and they don't get the credit for it. And I kind of like it that way, to be honest. I would much rather everybody else's faces be in the public, their voices be in the public. I like to sit in the back and just make sure that it's going as smooth as possible.
Aaron's the president of HOAs in communities that he doesn't even live in. So,
I mean, some people just need a hobby. That's not the one I would want, but that works. And then, so as always, everyone that's listening, I know we're across like 15 platforms right now. One thing is, you have a fishing question, I also want to make sure I star those and get it back, since we're also hotwired to my YouTube channel. So I'll make sure we sneak in those in there as well, as long as there's also questions in regard to the club. So I guess without further ado, we can get this ball rolling then. Where would you guys want to start?
I guess I'll start with the sponsors. And, like I said, Josh Evans, Trey Leach from Innovative Sportsman, and I, for the most part, we've had help with from Aaron and Matt as well. But the three of us mostly, headed this up for this year. And, I can't not mention Delaware Paddle Sports first. Delaware Paddle Sports has been probably the staple as a MAKBF sponsor. They've sponsored us every single year, I think, since our existence, at least since I've been around. Delaware Paddle Sports has been a huge part of what MAKBF is. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention and thank them first for their continued support and belief in us as a marketing tool, as well as just believing in us as a group. And, that's where a huge amount of gratitude goes out to DPS. For that. And if you're in the market for a kayak, there is no better place to buy a kayak than DPS, because Delaware is a tax-free state. So you can go to Delaware and buy yourself a kayak, a $5,000 kayak, and not get charged any sales tax. So that's a big deal. With that said, we also have a long list of monetary contribution sponsors this year that we have not had in years past. We've had some of them, but most of them are fairly new. Thomas from Fishing the DMV, he and Jake's Bait and Tackle basically came together, from what I understand. I don't know where the money comes from. Fishing the DMV is a monetary sponsor this year. Thomas, about your channel, about your platform, it is this year. It is hands down the best fishing podcast in this region. It's one of the best fishing podcasts that I've listened to, because of the fact of how much, information is just spewed out from the people that you have on your shows. The amount of knowledge that comes on through your platform is incredible, and people should listen.
Your check is in the mail.
Appreciate it. Innovative Sportsman, obviously Trey Leach. He's a supporter of the club. He's a fisherman of the club. We appreciate Trey. His Osprey is probably the best river boat that's made. Newport Vessels came on this year. They've came on in a big way, actually, and we'll talk more about that. But they're changing the demographic, or they're changing the whatever I can't think words, hard English. Newport Vessels is on big this year, and they came through with a big sponsorship that we're going to talk about for our Angler of the Year package here in a little bit too. But obviously their motors are very, easy to rig up and get put on your kayak, and we're excited to work with them this year. Tactical Fishing Company, who is another local company, he makes custom baits. And when I say custom baits, I'm not talking like any mold that you can go buy. Most, and if not all of Andrew's baits at Tactical Fishing Company are all custom made on a CAD and custom ordered. And anybody who makes baits knows how expensive that is. Andrew has it figured out. He has figured out the colors. He's figured out the baits. He's come on this year as a monetary sponsor. Native and Big Adventures, which we had last year, greatly appreciate their continued support. Native obviously is a huge kayak company, and they're merged with Bonafide in recent years. So we appreciate their support. Another new one for this year is Nature's Best Wildlife Artistry. That is a gentleman who makes fish replicas and does mounts. He does also mounts for hunting and animals and stuff like that. He's actually going to be our Czech sponsor this year. So correct me if I'm wrong, right? Did I say that right? Okay, I got it right. So he's sponsoring all of our big checks that our anglers get to take home. And then something that we did new this year that we haven't explored in years past, and it's truly made a huge difference in what our payouts are going to be able to be this year. But we've explored the avenue of the visitors bureaus and different chambers of commerce in the areas that we're going to. If we bring 50 to 100 people to a locality to fish, we're obviously going to invigorate their community a little bit. We're going to, buy hotels or Airbnbs or gas or food, or, we're going to come into their community and put some money into it. And they've seen the value in what we've presented them. And in turn, with that, the Juniata River Valley is going to be a sponsor for the Juniata River tournament this year. They've come on in a big way, and we're going to call them the JRV. The JRV, it spans across a lot of area. It's not just one county. It's not just one little locality. That whole Juniata River Valley is what they're really concerned with. So, fittingly, we're coming to the Juniata, and they're excited. They were excited to come on. We're excited to have them. Explore Charles County, Maryland is going to be our sponsor for the Potomac events. We have a back-to-back days, April 20th and 21st on the Potomac River. Charles County came on in a big way with us again, and they're going to be our sponsor for that event. And then we have the combination, another back-to-back weekend days. We have the Conowingo Reservoir May 5th. Is it May 5th or 4th? It's the 4th. Okay, May 4th on the Conowingo. And then the very next day, May 5th, we're on the Upper Chesapeake Bay. And Visit Hartford, Maryland has come on as a sponsor for for that event. So, those organizations that I just mentioned is why we are able to add, and Aaron, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but to all the entry fee money that we get for each event this year, we are adding a $500 on top of it, just automatic. So no matter how many entries we have to the event, $500 is already in the prize pot right now.
That's correct. The prize pool will start out with $500, and then entry fees will be added to that as we go. So we're very excited about that. Our seven Angler of the Year tournaments will all have $500 to start the prize pool off in the very beginning of before any registrants. There you go.
So I know last year we guaranteed $1,000 to first place, and I feel like that's a good drawing factor. But I think we as a group talked about it, and when you're guaranteeing $1,000 to first place, no matter how many entries you have in the event, second and third place might end up falling off considerably. Well, I think this year with the $500 being added to the event and then going with the percentages that we have in our payout structure, I think it's going to be more fairly spaced out for everybody that participates, and it's going to make more sense. And we're
agreed. And also just to add, at 35 entrants, if we have 35 registered anglers, first place is taking home $1,000 anyway. So that's pretty significant starting off with $500, because last year, if there was no guarantee, in order to take home $1,000, we needed 47 anglers registered. So to only need 35 registered anglers for first to take home $1,000 is huge. Our sponsors this year, and Jake and Trey and Josh, did a tremendous job of getting monetary sponsors that this organization in the past. Last year we had some, but not like this year. I mean, these guys went above and beyond. They pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and 10,000 no's and 5 yeses, and they stayed proud the whole time. And I appreciate everything that they've done.
Well, it's a belief in this series, honestly.
Innovative Sportsman, obviously, trade.
What happened there? I hear myself. Sorry. So I just, there's a belief in this series and in what's been built before us. That's my driving factor to make sure that, we're giving the best back to our membership to keep it growing. And, to the tune of keeping it growing, I was made aware that we are at 78 registered anglers for the series this year. And some of us from the leadership group haven't even signed up yet.
Me.
So, we're at 78 people, and that's a pretty big deal, because I think in years past we haven't gotten to that point this early in the year. Of those 78,
put that in perspective. Last year, for the whole year, we had 62.
Yeah. But of those 78 that we have already, 22 of those would be considered rookie anglers, which means they've not fished more than 1 or 2 events with us in the past. I think two. So so of that number, of that 78, 22 are fresh. Fresh anglers coming into our series. I don't want to call them rookies, because that somehow can denote their skill level, and that's not what I'm doing. But there is a little bit of clout for that rookie angler of the year, coming in new to the series and competing against other rookies by title. So back to some of the sponsors, man, the product contributions this year was huge. I'm going to end up forgetting something if I start trying to talk about what each of them have given us. But the product contributions from Bioenno batteries, everybody knows what batteries cost these days. Lithium batteries, they're not cheap, and Bioenno came in a large way and gave us a lot of product. Newport, so I gave a little teaser earlier. Newport Vessels is giving us a motor to give away to our Angler of the Year this year. I don't know what motor it is. I've heard rumblings that they're coming out with a new motor. I don't know what motor it is, but Newport Vessels has agreed to give our Angler of the Year a motor, as well as on top of what prize money they're going to win. Temple Fork Outfitters has come on, and they've donated 3 rods. One of those we're going to give away during the season, I believe at the Delaware event. And then 2 of those of the higher end models of rods that they make are going to go to our 2nd and 3rd place Angler of the Year prize packages. Bates Fishing Company, they make reels. They're that new reel company that came on the market pretty hard last year. They make a fantastic product. They've given us they've given us 3 reels. 1 reel I have in hand, and that reel is going to be given away by drawing. At March 31st, we're going to do a drawing after the membership, after that window of the prize, closes, and somebody's going to win a hundo for free, which is a $375 reel, which is, I mean, that's a big deal. But they've also given us 2 additional gift certificates for any product that you want to buy on their website. You put in you'll put in a product code, and you can order any reel that you want that they make. That's going to also go to our 2nd and 3rd place Angler of the Year prize packages. Suspends, they came on, and they're giving us a cart and a set of stands, which those are going to be given away at the Juniata event. Kayak Cushion has come on with a gift certificate code, as well as they have a membership discount code and gift certificates for a certain more percentage off of Kayak Cushions at each event. Jake's Bait and Tackle with gift cards. Fishing Online with gift cards. Yak Power again has come on this year. They're going to be giving us power distribution systems. Boondocks has come on in a huge way. They've given us a Groovy console to give away. They've given us a T-Bone and a set of landing gear that we're going to be giving away. Ego Fishing Gear has come on as well with some giveaways. Never Lost Gear. And last but not least, Tactical Fishing Company is also giving us product to give away as handouts at the event. And for our online series, Old Line Baits has also come on to give away. I believe that's going to be in the form of a certificate code, or maybe even just a message with Mr. Talbot, and someone can order baits, whatever they want, whether it's custom or something free. That's going to be for the winner of each month of our online series. I think I've hit everybody. I got a lot of things written, down here in front of me.
I can add at least one. Josh Evans is giving away products for every event with his hard baits. He's part of the leadership team. He's an angler for the series. He's been with MAKBF a long time. He's gotten to the hobby of making, painting hard baits, and they look absolutely spectacular. And he's come through with giving away some hard baits for the series this year for each event. What's wrong, John? Jake, what's wrong?
Something's happening in the background over here. I can't talk about it on this particular live. When we're talking about sponsorships and things like that, I can't discuss what's happening in the background at my house.
I can imagine.
Yep.
Segue.
Yep.
So, how do you guys actually come up with your schedule? Is it based on how many launch sites that are available? I know the PA Wild Fishing Game Association is just a darling to deal with. So does it have to do with that at all? Like, what goes into the schedule?
We basically fight a lot in October, November, and in December. That's what we do. We fight a lot with each other about where we want to go. I don't know. You guys can answer that question, I guess.
I think experience from years past, what events the anglers want. I think that's a huge part of it. The anglers, we want to have as much people come as we can get to come. That's what basically the series is. But as far as making the schedule, Jake is a huge part in making the schedule. And then we fight about it for. There's 5 of us. The reason that there's 5 of us in the leadership group that vote is so that when 2 people or 3 people say yes and the 2 people say no, we have a majority vote. This year we decided we've always had trouble with attendance in the later part of the year. Always. It's been a problem forever and ever. Amen. So this year we decided to load the schedule pretty heavily in the front half. And in your reference to PA, it's very tough in Pennsylvania because you're missing 60 days of prime fishing because of their spawn rule, which is fine. Look, Pennsylvania, the Susquehanna is one of the best smallmouth fisheries in the world. So we're not mad about that. We just have to figure it out. And that's why the Juniata is as early it is, because I don't know if you know this, but the Saturday after that is no more targeting bass until June 15th. So
and that's the thing with Pennsylvania, you know, like Aaron was saying, the second weekend in April and the bass fishing season closes down, and Pennsylvania will not approve any tournaments for the next 2 months, and it comes back the second weekend of June. That being said, you know, I understand, a lot of us understand, you know, taking care of the fisheries that we have. And mostly it's because when you think about it, it's because of it's the climate where we live. You know, if these bass keep getting, you know, stuck and taken back to a landing spot and they don't get the spawn when they're supposed to, those fry won't make it through the next year because of the water temperature levels and things of that nature. At least that's what the scientists say. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not that smart. But fortunately enough, Maryland and Virginia, they let us fish tournaments in April, May, and June. So, you know, the big thing, like Aaron was saying, though, like the anglers speak, right? When you look at our events every year, and, you know, the Potomac is always really well attended. The Upper Bay is always really well attended. The Susquehanna is always really well attended. It's hard to have a schedule in the Mid-Atlantic region with kayaks and not put those 3 locations on there, because our membership wants to go to those 3 locations. So, you know, of our 7 Angler of the Year events, 3 of them, for the most part, are already figured out almost every single year. So we just have to figure out 4. Excuse me.
You went as far as the Rappahannock River last year. What spurred that on out of curiosity? Because for where your club is orientated, I feel like that was, you threw a dart at the board and you Googled it and there's a river there. Because like no one knows about it really.
It wasn't a dart. I like to do research on fisheries that are producing big fish. And when I proposed, I'll take the hit for it because it wasn't well attended, and I don't think it was. We probably didn't do as good of a job promoting it last year as we should have. The Rappahannock, as you know, Thomas, and you can attest to it, and we have a couple members that fish it. It's got some big fish in it.
It's got bags.
Yeah, and it's got giant snakehead in it. We could have a daggone snakehead tournament down there, and it would be amazing. I caught a double-digit snakehead down there in pre-fishing last year.
Biologists say the new world record northern could come out of the Rappahannock right now. It's getting that hot.
There's a lot of big snakehead down there. I think the day that I went down there with Trey and we pre-fished, I want to say between the 2 of us, we caught like 6 or 7 snakehead, and they were all like 7 pounds and up. There was some big snakehead down there, but last year was an exploratory mission. We'll call it that. We wanted to see how far we could push our membership to drive. And they said they told us. So we're coming back home.
Yeah, that is always so frustrating. I think there needs to be a balance, and you guys have to deal with that about like what gives you the most attendance, but then also what challenges an angler. Because I feel like, and I've complained about this with like the Bassmasters, like if they had their way, they go to just to 2 lakes their whole season on rotation. That's it. Because it's like, well, attendance is great. It's like, yeah, but that's kind of like boring as shit. And does that really make you a good angler if you're on Lake Guntersville 3 times or 4 times a year? So I don't know. It's like almost you have to balance between what gives you good attendance, but also as a purist, what makes it so if you win AOY, you actually earn that shit. And looking at 2023, you got a lake here that I think someone had an aneurysm when they made this. Lake Nakacoxamoxin, whatever the hell that is. Like
again,
Nakamixon, and actually that event was I don't know if you know this, but the Ike Foundation, that's where he does his charity event, and that lake can put out bags, but it didn't that day. It was that was a tough day.
It was a tough time of the year. It was the end of the summer. It was, you know, it's that end of summer time when, you know, the bass fishing gets incredibly difficult, especially in the lakes. Not so much in the rivers, but in the lakes it does. Nakamixon has put out probably more 8+ pound fish than any lake in Pennsylvania.
God damn. Wow.
In the recent years. I'll take the hit on that. Again, I proposed Nakamixon. I tried to make 2023 like the big bass tour of the Mid-Atlantic region, and I failed miserably. And these guys, they voted for it, but I proposed it. I'll take the hit for it. Knockamixon, though, is a place that people have said that they believe the next Pennsylvania state record is coming from.
And that sucks because based on what you said, is it just the Susquehanna water of the Susquehanna that makes it so you can't fish in April, or is it any PA like
Any
you just
PA.
can't fish?
Yeah, any
that's
PA,
bullshit.
it's all of PA.
Yeah,
Oh, that sucks.
Pennsylvania will not approve a tournament permit between the second weekend of April and the second weekend of June. And our big bass lakes are also different. I think Knockamixon is listed as a big bass lake, if I'm not mistaken. But any lake that Pennsylvania deems as a big bass lake, I believe your creel limit is 4, not 5.
That's crazy. Oh my God, that's crazy.
And Thomas, to touch on what you were saying about, the trying to figure out, challenge the anglers, we really take all that into consideration. Obviously, we want as many anglers to come as possible, but we also have to figure out the skill level of our organization, because sometimes you get into, especially on the rivers, the guys that just have a hard time. Like Jake was saying earlier, we have 22 rookies to MAKBF this year, and that's not to say that they're not.
I agree with you. So we lost you there, Aaron, I think. Jake, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, thank goodness.
Yeah.
So
did we lose Aaron?
I think his audio went in and out. You just got to refresh your screen, boss. Rob Woods. And then we have Bill Durham. You could fish Erie. That is a great idea to send a bunch of rookies out on Lake Erie. Let's do that for the insurance. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Let's see. Lip reading there. He's going to learn sign language here in a minute. It's really going to help us with our bilingual abilities. Aaron, are you back?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you guys just fine.
No, it's always a struggle, because I saw about that with when Hobie went to the New River. And everyone I talked to was like, that's just so depressing, because it's a cool river with big bags, but they went at a shitty time of year. And that's kind of sad. And I feel for you, Jake, when it's like the Rappahannock, if you hit it right, that would have been a lot of fun. And I feel like even if you had low turnout, if the people there actually caught them good, I think going around next time, it would have brought in more people.
I mean, I would certainly love to revisit it in the coming years, but it's going to have to be a membership. I think one thing we did this year, and we've done it in years past, but we put voting options on the website, on the Facebook page there after the TOC, and we kind of had an idea of what we wanted to do as a group. We kind of formulated what the areas where we wanted to go to. And of those areas, we put it out to the membership and said, hey, where do you all want to go based on this list? And the membership voted pretty convincingly that they wanted to go to the Juniata in the first weekend of April. I think we had 40 some votes for it or something like that. It was crazy. It was an astronomical number, but the series really is made of the people that come to it, and that's who matters. Aaron taught me that, because if I had my way, we would go to only big bass lakes.
That's a conversation that we're going to have another time too, about things in your area that are considered big bass lakes. I guess that would be a good segue to the laws. Now that we primed everyone with lake debates, let's get into some C-SPAN stuff when it comes to regulations and bylaws.
Oh, Aaron, that's you, big dog.
Hey, I'm up. Well, there are some changes this year. Besides the $500 start out for the prize pools, we are going to require that you come to the awards in order to get Angler of the Year points. Also, we're going to require you come to the awards to receive any of the prizes. So what the goal is here is to get the anglers together. We're outside of COVID, really put a damper on that, and we ended up being separate a lot, and we had to be. And we feel like we're far enough out of that where we need to get back into the camaraderie of kayak fishing. And we've decided that as a leadership group that we would like to see everybody at the awards. We're working hard on making sure that we have venues locked in so that everybody will have somewhere to come and enjoy the celebration of all of the anglers. We're also changing the amount of people that we're going to have come to the TOC. It's going to be the 7 winners of the Angler of the Year events, the eight Angler of the Year points winners that have not qualified through winning, and we're doing something a little different this year. We're going to have an Angler of the Year for the online series. Now, the Angler of the Year for the online series is only invited to the TOC. The Angler of the Year for the online series does not qualify for Angler of the Year for MAKBF, but you will get invited to the TOC. We're also proud to announce that because of all the sponsors like Thomas and Trey and Harford County and Charles County and the Juniata River Valley Visitors Bureau and Native and everybody that gave money, basically, we are offering again. The TOC will be a non-entry fee. First place will be $1,000. Second place will be $500, and third place will be $300 with no entry fee for the TOC. So when you're out there fishing, just keep that in mind. That if you make the TOC, you got a chance to fish for free and make $1,000, which is magical. We are also doing again this year the Delaware Paddle Sports Big Bass Bounty. That's $200 for the big bass of each event, and then $1,000 for the big fish of the year. We're doing that again this year. As far as rules changes and prices, everything else is pretty much staying the same. There's not really any other rule changes this year as opposed to last year. We will be doing a captain's meeting for our coming up event, the Juniata River, next week sometime, to go over particulars about that event and to touch any rules that anybody has questions on. We're super excited this year. Like I said, the whole leadership team really busted their butt. Matt kept everybody sane. He's a wizard on the Excel spreadsheets. He holds us down, that's for sure, because we do get into some pretty heated conversations.
No, not us. No, we don't.
So, but at the end of the day, that's why there's 5 of us. We vote on it and we figure it out. So I just want to thank everybody that's involved in this program. I want to thank all of the sponsors. We really appreciate everybody coming out. I mean, everybody doing what they do. So, but as far as rules go, that's pretty much all the changes for this year.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know who you are, but WV Big Beef. I'm going to give you a gift card to Tiger Crankbait because I just love that freaking name you have. That's amazing. What water temperatures do smallmouth leave wintering holes? My river temps are hanging at 49 degrees. I'm still catching mostly in slack deep water. I'm assuming West Virginia Big Beef. You're talking about like the Shenandoah or the Upper Potomac. I'll bring that to the panel. Any thoughts there?
That's Jake's territory.
I'll tell you, April
Y'all
7th.
don't fish either? Come on.
I'll tell you on April
fish.
7th. Can I answer that question April 7th?
You can answer the question now.
I mean, I think at 49 degrees, you're going to have fish in all different levels.
Yeah, so I can tell you that, you know, our river water levels, or not water levels, but water temperatures were in that high 40 to low 50 range last couple weeks. And then we had that cool down. When they came up in the last couple weeks, those fish did not waste time leaving the wintering holes. They started moving to where they should have been moving to based on the temperature. And I personally think, based on what I've seen my last 2 trips out on the river, I feel like those fish have pushed back with the drop in the water temperature, because we had a couple nights down in the very 20s, and the days didn't get much warmer. So, you know, I think that high 40, like, you know, you see that 47, 48, they're itching. They're itching to get. You got a bunch of fat fat fish that are ready to spawn. They've done nothing but gorge themselves, whenever the water temp started to rise because they were getting triggered and the days started getting longer. I think the days getting longer probably has a little bit more to do with their movement than the water temperature, but that could be up for debate. I think them noticing that daylight is a little bit longer triggers them more so than the actual water temperature. But
I agree with you, Jake, because you could be running. I 100% agree with you because the water temperature could not change and the days get longer, and all of a sudden the fish are starting to pull up.
Yeah,
right. So, I don't think that they're, it's a fishery dependent thing too. I think it's a flow dependent thing. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Flow. We had this odd thing that happened recently here on the Susquehanna and Juniata where we had a significant high water event that got up above action stage. And on top of that, we had a significant warming trend. So it pushed all of these fish into places
is there
where
a treble
they would,
hook rule?
Huh?
Sorry, I was reading this question on Instagram. Sorry about that. This person's name is, and guys, again, Instagram doesn't let me share questions. I thought this is an interesting one. Wrench67 on Instagram says, is there any type of weird hook or treble hook rules in Pennsylvania waters like in New York?
No, you can fish. You can, like, if you're fishing an A rig, you can fish 5 hooks. I think you can fish more than 5. I don't know. You can have, 5 treble hooks, I guess. I don't think there's a limit as to how many treble hooks you can have.
Okay.
I know that I think the A rig in Pennsylvania is 5, Maryland's 3. I don't know what it is in Virginia.
Maryland is 3, and I think Virginia is 4. But I want my Virginia friends in the chat to kind of to clarify that for me. And then Josh says, "Is this being recorded? If it's on the internet, it is being recorded, Josh. So this is not going to disappear anywhere, boss. I promise. You'll be able to find it.
Go to your YouTube, right?
Yeah, it's all everywhere. It's on Facebook and YouTube. So, and guys, it'll be up. It's up right now on their Facebook group as well. So when the stream ends, it's everywhere. It's not going anywhere.
Can I just point out that Alan Hurt said that my feet are pretty?
Yeah, I told you that's how you're paying for it. That's why we can't see what's behind the camera. Thank God. So yeah, that's a endearing question. Brandon says, let's see, Big Bass Lake. They need to go to Occoquan Reservoir. You can't talk about that place, Brandon. Even though I blew it up like every Monday night. So I think that's all caught up on those questions. What are some good things for newbies getting into this? When you're talking about like and then for everyone in the comment section, I even wrote it down with phonics, the Juniata and the Susquehanna. Those are some really gnarly rivers compared to like the Shenandoah, Upper Potomac, places like that. They're kind of mild. What are some things that a buddy system, life preserver, like what do you think they need to make sure that not only they have fun, but they don't die?
Biggest thing we preach on every event, doesn't matter if it's on the rivers or not, is safety. We want you guys to be safe. We want someone to know where you're going, whether it's, a fishing buddy, a girlfriend, a brother, a family member, whoever it is. On the rivers, we like to see, if you're unfamiliar with the waters, especially, do a lot of Google Maps. Like Google Earth will help a lot because it'll show you the water at all different stages. But pairing up with folks to get out on the river, you'll see a ton of us do floats together. But if you have questions about various sections, get them to us.
Yeah.
Jake knows a lot of the river and can tell you, there's a couple of, there's not as many as on the Susquehanna, but there's a couple of big ledges on there that can be pretty gnarly if you don't know what you're doing.
And with that said, I actually planned on this week doing a post of some high danger areas that people need to be aware of. Just on the Juniata for this event, because the biggest thing is we don't want anyone to get injured or worse. One thing I'll say, all of our events, you're required to wear a personal flotation device. It has to be approved by the U.S. Coast Guard, and it has to be worn at all times while you're fishing. You can't take it off. You have to wear it. It's part of the rules. It's one of the things that, with our insurance that requires you to make sure that you're wearing that. With that being said, for this particular event, I would strongly encourage that if you have a dry suit, to wear it, even though they can be the most uncomfortable thing. if you have a dry suit, I strongly suggest wearing it. I also strongly advised against wearing waders while you're actually fishing. If you're going to use waders, or if you take waders with you because you might feel like you need to portage, or because you're launching your boat and you're going to get your feet wet and you want to wear waders, I would please ask that you take those off once you start fishing and once you get on the water, because if you would flip and if you would have an incident where you would fall out of your boat, waders can absolutely be the end of your life. They make it incredibly difficult for you to get back to the surface. They make it incredibly difficult for you to move. Cold water, waders, they're not a good mixture match, I guess.
But to reiterate what Jake said, PFDs. You 100% need to be wearing your PFD the whole time.
What type of shoes, and Jake, I was creeping on some of your newest videos. What type of shoes are you wearing when you're going out there right now? Because I see some people, they'll just wear like regular boots, like steel-toed boots and things like that. I've seen that on Instagram before. Is there a shoe that you would advise people to wear this time of year? Because you could go in.
My bougie, unsponsored ass would suggest everyone wear some NRS boundary boots.
Yep, me too.
They are absolutely fantastic from an unsponsored opinion. NRS boundary boots that can be found at one of our sponsors, Fishing Online, has those, and you can use our discount code on the members only page to go and buy yourself a set.
That's correct. Delaware Paddle Sports also carries NRS.
My man.
This is a great
So
question.
We have two options.
We do have two. We have multiple options.
We got a Patreon supporter here from Ben E. How hard would it be to compete without a motor, especially on the rivers? I mostly do floats or small sections of river paddling upstream first.
I think competing without a motor on the river is probably, if you partner up and do a float, I think that's probably the best way to navigate the river. If you don't have a motor. If you do have a motor, obviously, but we also would encourage you to double up with somebody and do a float. But without a motor, I feel like I don't think you're at a disadvantage on the river without a motor.
I mean, I'll sit here and name someone who fished our series before and arguably is one of the better river anglers that we have. And I don't know if he signed up yet this year, but Steve Sisto, for a very, very long time, competed in river tournaments without a motor. If you know how to fish rivers and you know how to paddle, you are not at a disadvantage to somebody who has a motor. You could come out and win this event without a motor. Absolutely. 100%.
So the thing I'll also, just from a tactical, like competing level, Ben, I want to add to this, because I have so many new guys in Northern Virginia that are trying to kayak and stuff, is you need to really understand how long your float's going to take and then divide that in two, because you're going to stop and fish. And I've had this on fun trips where I look at a map and like, yeah, that's not going to take long. And it's 12 hours later. So really be sure of that, especially if you're trying to upload fish. I fished a tournament on the Upper Potomac and Shenandoah, which has jack service. And I had to factor in to get out of the holler I was in to get to cell service. So you really need to factor all that in if you don't have a motor.
Thomas, Go ahead, Aaron.
I was going to say, I got a funny story about that on the Shenandoah. We had a tournament there a few years ago, and I was fishing with ex-president Aaron White and Josh Evans and some other guys that went with us, and Brian Freshwater, I believe, was with us. And Aaron's like, yeah, it's no trouble. And we ended up having our last 2 hours having to do nothing but just paddle for everything we had to get to the launch so that we could upload. And no fishing the last 2 hours because we were so far. We floated way too long.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm right there with you. I'm 100% there with you. If you're going to do a float, make sure shorter is better, and just hit all of the eddies, hit all of the, hit all of the structure, fish it.
Fish it. Yep.
One of the good tools you have too is if you go to Google Maps, get to the section of the river, you can actually right click and measure distance and actually run the points down the river. Because even though it says it's only maybe 20 or 30 minutes for you to drive that distance, the mileage is going to be significantly different if that river just winds and twists, and it'll give you a much better idea of the mileage you're covering.
So I have two things. One, Thomas, you accidentally triggered me when you talked about length of river floats. I have to tell a quick story. God bless her heart. Those of us who know her, we love her to death. But she should not be trusted with a map. Christine Fisher offered to float with me when we were down on the Coosa River one time for a tournament. And she's like, yeah, we're just going to go downriver just a couple miles, and then we're going to go up the creek about a mile, and we're going to try to get to this one spot. There should be some good fishing there. And I said, okay, I'm down. I trust you. You're a seasoned, intelligent and fantastic angling ability. Like, I trust you, Christine. It was 9 miles downriver and 5 miles up a creek that required like 4 different portages over ledges with Hobie PA 14s for us to get there. And it was on the last day of pre-fishing when we had to be back for the check-in for the captain's meeting the night before the tournament. And on top of that, thank God Frank Reed was there. Frank came to pick us up alongside of a creek that we had really no idea how to even tell him to get there. We just had to drop him a pin on the map. And as he was pulling our boats up this creek bank with bungee, or not bungee cords, but with straps to pull our boats up, because we couldn't just lift them up there. If you have a Hobie PA, but one of the straps broke and came back and caught me right here on the chest with the buckle. So I had this large, ginormous welt and bruise that Christine thought would be a fantastic idea to take a selfie with. So you triggered me a little bit. Yeah. Anyway, I did map study after that. Anytime Christine offered to take me on a trip, I didn't. With another comment that I saw in the comments from J.R. Rents, Pennsylvania has this unique situation. If you have a boat that is registered in any state, it doesn't matter, Maryland, Virginia, New York, any state, if your boat is registered because you've put a motor on it, you do not require a launch permit. But if your boat is not registered in Pennsylvania or any other state, you do require a launch permit to launch from Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission or Pennsylvania state property. It's a way that they can get $20-some out of people who are operating an unregistered watercraft for the use of the facility, right? So if you're going to use one of the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission launches, and they're typically titled PFBC on the map, or PGC for Pennsylvania Game Commission, or if it says PA in any way, shape, or form, it's typically owned by the state of Pennsylvania, which will require a launch permit for you to legally launch. If you get caught, which April 6th is the first day of trout, that was by design. When I proposed April 6th, because it's going to take about 25% of the people on the river normally off the river and put them in trout streams. So Pennsylvania's first day of trout is April 6th. I promise April 6th that we'll be out and about at boat ramps and looking at registrations and looking at launch stickers. Fishing licenses. Yes. Yeah. So just understand that the first day of trout in Pennsylvania is like a holiday, and the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission will be out conducting enforcement on that day. So don't get caught with your pants down.
Speaking of enforcement with guns, Evan Knowles, are there any sections closed to fishing for smallmouth spawn? I've heard around Herndon it is, but was not sure. Thanks.
In Pennsylvania, you're not allowed to target bass that are on a bed. In years past, they shut the river down for bass fishing in general, but they have not done that. They are allowing you to fish for bass during that time frame. However, you are not allowed to target a bass on a bed. And if you catch a bass during the closed season, you must immediately return it. And that's not, you don't put it in a live well and take a bunch of pictures and hold on to it for 5 to 10 minutes. No, like you catch it, maybe snap a quick picture and, maybe get a measurement and then throw it back in the water. That's what the law is here in the state of Pennsylvania.
Which is exactly what a kayak tournament is, which is catch, weight, release.
Yes.
So the only thing would be
they have not caught up with the times yet, Thomas. That's a whole topic for a whole nother podcast.
So, but to be honest, the only way, Evan, to answer your question, you could get in trouble is if the cop looks at you and said, "Did you catch this off the bed?" And you're retarded enough to say, "I did," and I saw him. So, hint, Evan, hint. What?
I mean, you can typically tell if someone's bed fishing on the river. You can see, like, you can tell. Especially with like some of the creeks. A lot of the creeks have bridges, and people won't understand that if someone's on top of that bridge, they can see you fishing. I've saw that happen in Sherman's Creek where people have been up there bed fishing, and the fish cops are up on the bridge watching them.
This is an oddly specific situation. This happened to you?
Didn't happen to me.
Okay.
Didn't happen to me. But
I think we covered all the rules. We covered the schedule and the sponsors. I think with the Julietta event coming up, is there boundaries to that thing? How does that whole first tournament going to play out?
You want me to talk about that, Aaron, or you got it?
Yeah. The north launch and the south launch. Yeah, they talk about it.
So it's like 60 some miles of river that we have opened up from launch site to launch site. We're doing a launch boundary, which means that you can launch at the northernmost or southernmost launch boundary, and you can go as far away from that launch as you want to, as long as you are back by whatever time you need to be at check-in. And as long as you stop fishing when you're supposed to, and you're back but at check-in or off the water time, you're legal. That being said, take into consideration water levels. If you go way down south, if you leave the Amity Hall boat ramp and you think you're going to go down to Sherman's Creek and fish, understand that that's a long time to get back to that ramp. So, we encourage people to make responsible decisions that are within the scope of the rules and the law. But Amity Hall is the southernmost, and McVeigh is the northernmost.
And just to touch on that, you have to put in and take out at those are you have to put in at the and take out within the launch boundaries. So you have to, Amity Hall is the furthest south that you can launch and take out, and McVeigh is the furthest north that you can launch and take out. However, just to touch on this, any public launch in between those is also eligible water and eligible launches.
Yeah.
And now we did add, and this is a unique event where we added that you need to be off the water, and we have an off the water time. And the reason we added that is because just what Jake said, we don't want people launching and trying to go other places that are so far away that it's going to take you hours to get back. The goal of having an off the water time is to make it fair for everybody.
Yeah.
Right on. And then, guys, if you have questions in the comment section, please type them up now, because we're not going to be going 3 hours like we did last night here. So make sure you get all your questions in. Before I go on any tie rates, is there anything else we want to make sure that we cover and put a pretty little bow on?
I do. The Angler of the Year prizes we didn't really quite discuss. We talked about, about $500 being added to each pot. We talked about the no entry fee to TOC and the 1,500, 300. But we did not discuss that the Angler of the Year, on top of the motor that they get from Newport Vessels, they're also going to win $1,000 for Angler of the Year. Second place, it's pretty set in stone right now what they're getting as far as prize packages. I know Josh, and Trey are still working on, and we're still working on getting more money. Like, if someone's willing to give us money mid-season, we're going to take it. And
Let's send a check, Aaron Fetterman. That's my FETTER.
Anybody who wants to send a check, send it to Aaron. But one of the things that the second place angler of the year is going to get a $300 rod from TFO and a $375 reel from TFO, or I'm sorry, from Bates. And then third place is going to get a $200 rod from TFO and a $375 reel from Bates. If we're able to obtain more money, more funding, we're going to add to those, I believe is the intent and the goal with that. We're going to add to those totals because, we're going to keep trying. And any relationships we make right now, we want to make sure we keep good for 2025. So that's one of the things with having people back, like Aaron said, having people back at the check-ins, this helps us maintain those relationships because we're now able to make content with, if you come to the Juniata and you win a suspends cart, you're taking a picture with it. Like it's picture day whenever you, as Aaron, we'll pull one out of Aaron White's book. It's picture day, everybody. It's picture day. Come get your picture taken. So we're gonna do our best to do right by our sponsors and make sure that they're getting the notoriety that they deserve for helping us out this year.
Yeah.
And one more thing, Thomas. I just want to say we want to thank you too. After every event, we're going to be doing on Fishing the DMV, interviewing our top anglers, and we're very excited about that. The exposure for that for the anglers, for Fishing the DMV, for MAKBF, we're very, very excited about that.
Yes, and for the potential winners, if you're listening now, how that works, it will be pre-recorded. It won't be live because I know some people get the yips with that. So I just made a hard, fast rule. If I never had you on before, it's pre-recorded first. That way you get all the jitters out. And then if you come again and you feel like you're okay, then we'll do a live show. But it'll be pre-recorded. That way we're flexible with timing, and then it'll be uploaded into the schedule rotation.
Thomas, so, I really hope that I get to see you 7 times this year.
That I will be here. I will be here. Let's see. We got Josh bringing back mandatory picture day. Yes. We got Alex. Job well done, fellas. Going to be a great year. And then we got Bear. Man winner of the TOC should win an Osprey Innovative Sportsman. And just saying. I mean, Trey, come on. Why don't you start throwing some things out there like Oprah? You get a kayak. You get a kayak.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, Trey. Everybody gets a kayak.
Ooh, here we go. Here's a juicy question from Carl. Here we go. What constitutes a rookie? I like that.
For MAKBF, what constitutes a rookie is if you didn't fish 2 or more events in a single year with MAKBF or DPS KBFS.
There we go. Josh Sims. No one can listen to Jake 7 times. That's not true.
That's accurate. 100%, Josh. We're on the same page with that.
Listen, it has been a very trying few months on all of our friendships because we are a bunch of hard-headed men with ideas. And I tell you, I joked, I don't know if many people know this, but whenever when we took over the Instagram a little bit earlier this year and started posting a lot, I started off with the introduction to the leadership group. And one of, the first one was, Josh having a face for radio. I think the second one was Matt. And I joked about how I couldn't find any pictures of Matt holding big fish to use. And then
so you know, Matt has posted every big fish he's caught this year so far in the leadership group so that we have plenty now.
Yeah. And then I talked about myself third, I think. And I said about, how my personality is very love or hate, and you either love it or really, really hate it. And then I talked about Trey being the exact opposite of me. Trey Leach is a exact opposite of me. And then, of course, Mr. President with his giant fish. I don't know. He caught like a 24, 25-inch largemouth down in Florida this year.
It was 25 3/4.
25 3/4. Absolute pig of a fish. And you know how many photos he took of it, Aaron or Thomas?
How many?
Ask him. Ask him.
How many did you take?
Come on. I took 1. Well, let me rephrase. I took 2. I took 1. I was in a Hobie. events. So my priority was to get a good picture on the board. I took one picture on the board. I don't know if you've ever been on the Harris Chain during duck hunting season, but it is out of control. Like it was like a war zone. So I made sure I got a good picture. I took a really, really crappy selfie because the fish was so heavy. It was tough for me to hold up and take a picture of it at the same time. Trey was fishing somewhat near me. My scale was not working. And the first thing everybody asked me is, well, how much did it weigh? Well, I don't know. It was 25 3/4 inches because that's how I do fish. So, and what happened is I was kind of I was in a Florida area where it's a state-owned marsh, and I'm not exaggerating when I'm going to say there was 50 duck boats there. Everybody had blinds set up everywhere. So even to get to that fish, I had to weave in between people's duck blinds as I'm sitting there pitching onto the bed for that fish. There's pellets falling into my boat from shotgun shells. From shotgun steel pellets. I don't know, 200 or 300 shots going on around me. It was insane. So really, I got two pictures, a really crappy selfie and then one on the board.
You brought something up interesting though when it comes to like as a kayak angler, your psychology, the inches only matter. Eventually, it would be nice to where you could somehow incorporate weight. Because I'm sorry, if it looks like it's 6.5 pounds, like you want to get that sucker on a scale to check her out. I mean, damn.
Well, and to be honest, I really should have called Trey and been like, hey, can you come take my picture? Or I should have stopped at one of the duck blinds. There was 7 around me and been like, hey, can you guys take my picture? The first question everybody asked was weight. And I have since ordered a scale and it's in my kayak now. So, so I won't have that trouble again, but, it was a giant. And the only thing I had to reference it is a guy caught a 26-incher the day before during practice, and his was 13.11. So mine at 25 3/4. I just put it at. I just tell everybody it was a 12. It was a giant.
Brandon says taking a scale out on tournament day is equivalent to taking out a bunch of bananas. Well, my wife is basically a banana, and I take her out fishing. So the idea is if you leave it in your kayak or your boat, eventually it'll break the cycle and the curse. So that's how you circumnent that.
Your wife is a nice lady.
Yeah, but she's yes. I will just say that as I stare at the camera for recording purposes and statute of limitations.
One quick clarification. I think we misspoke a little on the rookie. If you fished more than 2 events, MAKBF or DPS in the past, you were not a rookie.
I'm sorry. Did I say a year? That was my fault.
So,
Carl.
Carl said I'm a qualified rookie, but I think Carl's fished more than 2 events overall. He just doesn't fish a lot every year.
There you go.
Just want to make sure we clarified that.
Can I also make a note of thing that we probably failed to mention more than we should have, or as much as we should have? We're partnering with some awesome clubs this year. The Juniata River, we're partnering with the Keystone Kayak Bass Series. They're coming out from the western side of the state, and they're going to partner with us. We're also going to partner for the Potomac event. We're going to partner with NVKBA and the newer club, Chesapeake Reel Masters. We're partnering with them. Is the Jackson Trail joining us on the Conowingo or not?
I need to verify that with Rudy. I think they were planning to try to.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen yet or not, but I know CRM, the Chesapeake Reel Masters, we're going to partner again with them on the Upper Chesapeake Bay. And then, of course, the event on the Susquehanna.
Bassmaster on the Susquehanna.
Yeah, the Susquehanna River event, Bassmaster, the National Kayak Series will be here. And, we're obviously partnering up with them. They're going to dictate, we're going to go by their rules, by their boundaries and such. But, having that ability to work together with local clubs in the area versus competing with local clubs in the area is really it's something to be said for that, because everybody wants a piece of the pie. But given the fact that we're able to work together and not schedule on top of each other and schedule with each other to make our events more lucrative for all of our membership, it only benefits all of us. So I want to thank each and every one of those clubs that are joining us or that we're joining, because that's a huge factor. When it comes, there's only so many weekends in a summer, in a spring, So being able to partner with these guys versus compete with these guys is a huge deal.
When you're looking at the schedule right now, if you had to take picks, which event do you think is going to be the big showstopper when it comes to inches put across the board, and which one do you think is going to be the grinder?
Juniata.
Juniata.
The Juniata is I confidently believe that there are going to be more 90-inch limits coming from the Juniata than there will be from probably any event that we have this year. That being said, you could also see 100 inches come from the Juniata if somebody gets on the right pattern with the right fish. It is 100% possible to go out there and catch 5 20-inch fish or bigger on the Juniata River. I would say we're not going to have many grinders. The biggest grinder event we're going to have is going to be our team event in Delaware mid-June, but that's not an AOI event.
Does Delaware have water? Like, where the hell is that being, like, is it river?
No.
The Delaware River?
No, Delaware, the state, has 100 ponds that hold 20 inches.
Huh.
So the way that tournament's going to work is it's going to be any public body of water in Delaware. It's going to be a team event, 2-man teams. It's not an angler of the year. It's going to be geared towards a whole weekend. It's Father's Day weekend, so we're going to try to gear the whole thing. If you want to come stay at the beach, come. Delaware Paddle Sports has offered up their property if you want to camp down there. We want to make sure that we're visiting Delaware Paddle Sports, who brings a huge benefit to our side. So we're going to make it a whole weekend. And I forgot to mention this earlier too, but the way it's going to work is it's not an Angler of the Year event. However, the team winner is going to get 10 Angler of the Year points to split amongst themselves. But on the stipulation of that is the team, 2 fish need to be caught from each team member. It's going to be still a best 5, but 2 from each team member need to be caught. That way one guy's not hammered down and the other one's not doing. It's going to have to be 2 from each team member. So they're going to be able to split 10 Angler of the Year points, which is enough to make a difference in the year if you're trying to get Angler of the Year. So
right on. What about the Conowingo? That is interesting. That's come up in a couple of conversations I've had. Like, how big is it? Like, I heard like the flathead basically destroyed it and it's not what it used to be. Some people say like, no, there's still some fish in there.
It's back.
There's plenty of fish in there.
Yeah.
I love the Conowingo because it's probably the only place that you have an opportunity to go smallmouth. Like, you could focus on smallmouth or you could focus on largemouth. It's one of the only places that we're going to fish this year where you can do that. The 2 years ago when we went there, it was won by smallmouth, but the second largest limit was largemouth. So it's definitely big enough. It's a big fishery. I mean, I don't know how many miles is in between dams, but it's a pretty significant amount. And it has deep pools and it's also got riffles. So I mean, it all just depends on where you want to fish and what your style of fishing is. That's what I like about the Conowingo, because there's something for everybody there.
If I'm not mistaken, that limit of smallmouth that won, wasn't it like upper 90s, like 97, 98?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, 97 or 98 inches of smallmouth.
That's really cool. That's really cool. And then we got a bunch of questions that just rolled in from Josh. I was going to blast through all of Josh's questions first. How many events are being dropped this year? And then he says, to clarify, how many low-scoring events can an angler drop / not count against AOY?
It's going to be your best. You need to have fish 4 events to qualify for Angler of the Year. It's your best 5 events with the TOC. Each event is worth 25 points to the first place. Big Bass gives an additional 2 points. and then the 25 works down from each base. So 22nd would get 24, third would get 23, and so on and so forth. However, the TOC is on a little bit higher scale. The winner of the TOC gets 35 points, and then it goes down from there, 34, 33, 32, 30. So it's a total of 5. Your Angler of the Year points is a total of 5 events, including the TOC. It's 4 to qualify for the TOC, and it's 4 to your best 4 events to get into the TOC.
There you go. And then we got 2 more questions right here from Brandon. Are the teams picked randomly, or can you choose a partner?
It's going to be random.
Rob's,
I don't know how that's going to work yet, but that it's going to be random.
Like blind speed dating on Tinder. Let's see. Rob's Wood and Custom Sawmilling. Any tips or tricks for taking the fish picture on the Kayak board, getting smallmouth to close their mouths?
I'm going to be honest, and this is just from experience. It's really just practice. I mean, I have been known to whisper in its ear. If you pet it just ever so slightly, it'll sometimes come down. My ritual is always to catch, put it on a donkey leash or something to that nature. I put it in the water to give it time to relax. I get my phone out, I get my board out, and then I bring it up, take his picture. But there's been plenty of times that I've lost fish off the board, and that sucks. But really, just practice. That's all I can say.
I have some input on that. So in the cold, when those fish are cold, they seem to want to open their mouth more, like they just want to straight open. But one thing I will say, and this is not just with smallmouth, but almost any fish that I put on a measuring board, I don't know what the fin is called, but the bottom side of the fish that's on the board, there's a fin like right behind their gill plate on that side. It's on both sides, but if you take that fin, most of the time that fin is sticking straight out, and it's like it gets all cattywampus on. That's one of Aaron's words, cattywampus on the board. If you take that fin and you tuck it back the way it's supposed to be, like, and you lay it, against its side, I feel like that calms the fish down a whole lot. But also angling your catch board down, like with the bump board angled down, and the fish using the fish's weight to push its nose automatically makes it want to go close. So those couple things there are huge. Wetting the board makes the fish feel more comfortable, especially this is probably more so important in hot temperatures, but putting that board in the water and letting it, get accustomed to the water temperature. If you put a smallmouth on a catch board that is metal, that has been sitting out in the sun all day, and you put that smallmouth on that catch board,
He wants to come off.
luck. Good luck, because that smallmouth is going to explain to you through action how hot that board is, and you will not get it to stay still unless you basically just hold it, pin it down like it, never mind. But you have to take into consideration fish care, right? Keeping the fish as comfortable as it can possibly be, and it's going to make you taking that photo of that fish a lot easier.
Yeah, there's definitely a trick to the madness. Getting that thing to be calm, cooling down the board, watering the board. Like there's so many little tricks like that you can use. And especially with smallmouth, getting some kind of grips on them just to make sure you have a hold of them while you're trying to get them settled is kind of important before you go for that Hail Mary of just laying them on the board and hoping to God that it works in your favor. But that's smallmouth fishing.
You talking about measuring. Bear had a really good comment. You'll see a bunch of people that actually flip your net backwards, put the mesh bucket net right in front of the head of the catch board. I'm tall enough, my legs are long enough. I usually have I kick them back into the boat if they try and jump out. But that net has saved a lot of folks from losing fish.
100%. Nets are, especially if you're dealing with treble hooks and smallmouth, nets are your friend. 100%. I think that's all. I think we got through all the questions that we have on Facebook and the old YouTube. Is there anything else, gentlemen, that we want to make sure we touch on here before we bid adieu?
I don't know if there's anything else to touch on, really. I just want to say we're excited for the season. I mean, the first 5 events will be over by the first weekend in May in the next 8 weeks. And we're going to hit all these bodies of water at great times of year. It's not going to be too hot. It's not going to be late in the season. And we're looking forward to some great numbers. And then, of course, the Susquehanna in the summertime. I mean, we're hoping for no struggle days as far as the 7 events that count towards AOI. I mean, you always hope for the best, shoot for the moon, but we're hitting a lot of good events, good bodies of water at great times. And, dude, we're excited. I'm ready to go fishing. Let's do it.
I am ready for March to be over with. That's for sure.
That's for sure. It's been a tough. It's not been tough. It's been a great last few months, working hard, trying to make the series the best for everybody, and we are very excited. We can't thank the sponsors enough. We can't thank the anglers enough. I'm going to try to get back this year to doing what I've done in the past, and that's be out in the boat and taking people's pictures, because I like to do that. So we're super excited about this year. The schedule's fire, the sponsorship is fire, the anglers are fire. We can't wait. So
one real quick thing, if we can also make sure everybody that knows this watching, if you are not registered yet, please register before the end of March, because March 31st is the registration is not going to close, but your opportunity to win a $375 Bates Hundo will be gone, because anybody who is registered before March 31st or as of midnight March 31st is going to be entered into a random pick selector, and you are going to be picked to win a brand new Bates Hundo. And if it's not the right hand for you, like if you reel left hand or whatever, you let me know. I'll contact Bates and I'll make sure you get the right hand reel. That way you can actually use it and not sell it. But as far as that goes, that's going to only be till March 31st. If you register after March 31st, we appreciate your registration, but you don't get entered to win any prize. So,
that was harsh.
Sorry.
We got the smallmouth whisperer. Glad miss you, buddy. And then we got, let's see, there was one from Josh. I just lost the damn thing. Where is it? Oh, here it is. All right, last question of the evening here from Josh. When will the TOC location be put out?
Before the May weekend, we will make an announcement.
There you have it. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. If people have a question about the rule or they want to sign up, do just give them Jake's personal phone number. Like, where do they go to get any questions answered?
Absolutely. That's what you do. You give them Jake's personal phone number. Matter of fact, hold on. Let me get it for everybody. No, go to makbf.com. There's information. The rules are on makbf.com. How to sign up is on makbf.com. If you go to Tourney X, and my phone number is all over Tourney X on every tournament that's posted under an MAKBF tab. So feel free to give me a call. And if you have any questions at all, and if I can't answer it, I guarantee somebody on a leadership team can.
Guys, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it. Please, this will be up as a recording, Josh. So it is on the internet. So go check that out on Facebook or YouTube. If you have any questions, reach out to these gentlemen. And we'll see you guys next time on Fishing the DMV. Bye. You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your hosts, Thomas Ahrens and Jared Mounts. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by